So, good evening, everyone. How are you all doing? So, did they have premeditated intentions to gaslight me about HIV and to pharmacologically abuse me? Was that premeditated? I think it was. I think my parents, family, friends, acquaintances, they all conspired into giving me the HIV scare. I mean, they did it to me, correct? That's really the reality. That they gaslit me into taking HIV prep and the mega regimen of psychiatric medications and so on. That's really the reality, right? I mean, if that is, can somebody be honest and take accountability? Somebody says, why is the fact that you took HIV prep such a source of distress anyway? It's just a medication. You were on it. You got off of it. What's the big deal? Well, it took somebody who'd been involuntarily celibate, who had like no romance, till no friends. The first of the betrayal is the worst part, but I'll get to that. It made me feel metaphorically HIV positive. It I couldn't even walk down the block without checking behind myself a million times for hypodermic needles. I couldn't even walk through the house without checking behind myself for hypodermic needles. Um, you know, I it was just really a nightmare that couldn't have been much worse. Um, you know, and I mean it was just a fucking nightmare that couldn't have gone much worse. And assuming there was betrayal too. Assuming my parents, family, and everybody I'm close to, everybody, literally everybody in my life betrayed me. It's just, it's, and they won't take accountability and they won't tell me that they did it, even though they clearly did. It's, it's like, just admit it. You know? I mean, I know ultimately, it's my response. It's 5 years later, and they tell me to get over it. But if my parents, family, friends, everybody I was close to had betrayed me, and they got off from, betraying me, I want them to take accountability. I will get over it when somebody tells me the truth. Somebody says it's hard to admit when there's nothing to admit to. You see, that's the thing. You can't prove what people's intentions were. You can't prove what was in somebody's mind. Somebody says, think of the event, but leave out the intent. That's a real mantra to live by. I don't know, what was in their minds leading up to it, whether they had sadistic and nefarious premeditated intentions to pharmacologically abuse me or not. I suspect they did. I suspect they wanted to traumatize me. But apparently, there's no evidence confirming or corroborating that. That's just my suspicion. And some people say that's delusional. And I think worse than feeling metaphorically HIV positive, defective, damaged after feeling like involved, like practically like a virgin, like a clean baby, so to speak. I think worse than that is the betrayal by people I genuinely loved and trusted. Prior to 2019, I trusted and believed people and was warm. Now I'm looking at everybody like they're a monster. Now I'm looking at everybody like they're a sadistic persecutor. I can't get close to anybody. I'm just like, I want to scream at everybody. Tell me the fucking truth. Just tell me the fucking truth. Somebody says, you've kind of gaslit yourself into thinking they had nefarious intentions. You kind of gaslit yourself into thinking they all betrayed you and gang stalked and conspired and tortured you. You kind of gaslit and embellished what happened to such a degree that, realistically, if I think about what took place, while there was a fear of HIV leading up to it, realistically, the events that happened were I stepped on something, it pushed through my shoe into my foot. I was asked by my psychiatrist, was it a hypodermic needle or drug paraphernalia? I went over to the emergency room with my mother and I took HIV PrEP. I mean, that's the cold hard facts right there. I mean, could people have been potentially trying to scare me about HIV leading up to it? That's my suspicion. I suspect people were trying to gaslight it into happening, but maybe they weren't. Somebody says, where do you even step on? I stepped on some debris that pushed through my shoe and went into my foot. Somebody, Pizza Pasta says, what's going on, big dog? Oh, not much. I think the traumatic part about it is feeling betrayed by my parents and family and friends and thinking everybody's lied to me. That's the most traumatic part, not so much, feeling like a clean baby, then feeling defective, damaged, and HIV positive, metaphorically. I think the part that would make me really angry is thinking they traumatized me, because it was a legitimate trauma. And it was a betrayal by my parents, family, friends, acquaintances, and so on. That would be the part that would make me enraged. The betrayal part, thinking they traumatized me and it was premeditated and then they betrayed me. That would be the part that would make me angry. Somebody says, but they didn't. They didn't. They didn't betray you. This is hypothetical, of course. Hypothetically, if they all betrayed me and deceived me and had premeditated intentions to do it to me, that's what would make me angry. But apparently they didn't. Somebody says, obviously I'll repeat the mantra again. Feelings are not facts. Think of the event, but leave out the intent. Think of the event, but leave out their intent. Obviously, is getting betrayed by your parents, family, friends, acquaintances, and everybody, is that traumatizing? Yes. But when you really think about the event, I don't have any evidence, confirmed and corroborated evidence, that they did betray me. The only evidence I have is my suspicions that there was gang stalking and a conspiracy and people plotting to do it to me. That's the only evidence I have. Suspicions. Somebody said, and when it comes to suspicions, when you start saying things like "I suspect," "I feel," "I kind of know," those are key words for blurring fantasy and reality and coming to feelings of conviction about your imagination, delusions. So realize a lot of this is delusional thinking. I don't really know what was in their minds. Maybe their intentions were good. Maybe their intentions were to genuinely be my friends and parents and and so on. And maybe the intentions were all good. And unfortunately, I had the opportunity to meet like the only friends and acquaintances and family, in 15 years. And I ruined it by accusing them of being monsters and getting persecutory delusions about them and getting rapid delusional mood swings about my everybody. So maybe I actually the persecutor is me. Somebody says, you had opportunities to make real friends for the first time in your life, and you ruined it by getting rapid delusional mood swings about them, going from, they're your friend and you trust them and you love them, to they secretly conspired and wanted to kill you. Back to they love you, back to they secretly conspired and wanted to kill you. Back to they love you, back to they secretly conspired, like the toggle switch of delusion. The switch would toggle on and off, on and off, on and off. And when your mind swings wildly from somebody loves you to they want to kill you, back to they love you, back to they want to kill you, back to they love you, back to they want to kill you, people are just going to finally have enough and say, you gotta view somebody consistently with the loving lens. You gotta consistently think people love you and don't have premeditated intentions to betray you. You gotta trust people. Somebody says you are the sadistic puppet master. I don't know if that's entirely correct, but it's definitely delusional um, and sickness. At the very least. I'm not looking to sadistically persecute anyone or hurt anyone. I'm just looking for the truth. But apparently, they've told me the truth over and over again. I just don't want to accept it. Somebody says I'm the monster behind the mask. Well, I think I'm being honest and transparent. I don't think I'm really wearing a mask. Um, for what it's worth. Um, you know. Somebody says you're hurting yourself. Yeah, that's for sure. Somebody says you're sabotaging your life. Frankly, yeah, that I would agree with that. I'm obviously in a lot of pain emotionally. Some people say I'm behaving extremely depressed. I'm just looking at everybody like they're sadistic persecutors, and um, I'm just extremely depressed, and yeah, it's just actually somebody says poor your father. Actually, believe it or not, I got along with my father the past 2 days. I know 2 days is oh oh big deal, congratulations. But I got along well with my father yesterday and today. So I mean, so in terms of my father, we're getting along the past 2 days. Let's try to make it 3 days, then 4 days, then 5 days, then 6 days. But in terms of my father, we're back on good terms. Somebody says 2 days, and the news hasn't reported on this yet. Okay, fair enough. But Poppy and I are on good terms as of right now. So, and we have been for the past 2 days. So he says that's nice to hear. I took a genuine interest in his cancer treatment. I asked. I mean, apparently he got this cyberknife radiation, which they targeted cancer cells and cut it and with the cyberknife and zapped it with radiation. And I asked him, "Oh, are you able to go to the gym after? How long till after the radiation?" He says you could go to the gym like immediately after getting this cyberknife. He's taken some medications for his prostate cancer, which obviously take a toll on his body, and it's hard to work out at the gym because of the medications he's taking. And I was trying to take. I was trying. I was under the impression he got surgery. I don't know why. Apparently, he didn't though. Apparently, so. So hopefully he gets this into remission, and hopefully he fights this. I think he said something to the effect of, "Cancer picked the wrong person." Everybody's praying for him. He's a strong guy. So yeah, we talked about hockey too. I mean, we talked about hockey too. I was under the impression the Edmonton Oilers won 5 Stanley Cups in a row in the '80s, but apparently they only won two. Then the Montreal Canadiens won one. Then they won two more. Then I think the Calgary Flames won one, and they won another one. So they won 5, but not consecutive. Islanders won 4 consecutive cups. So that was interesting. So, Mrs., was your father rooting for the Florida Panthers? I don't know, but they won 2 Stanley Cups in a row, which is pretty hard to do. I mean, I was looking at, but a lot of teams in recent years have won 2 Stanley Cups in a row. I think the Pittsburgh Penguins did it. I'm sure the Tampa Bay Lightning. We'll see if they can do 3 in a row now. We talked about the Chicago Blackhawks, how Gary Bettman, the GM of hockey, said, "Oh, I'd call this a dynasty." How Patrick Kane, the hockey player, he doesn't really play for Chicago Blackhawks anymore. I don't know where he is now, but I guess he had a big salary, and he's 10 years older than he was in 2015. So, you know. The hockey player? So he says, "You used to be a hockey fan?" Well, my father and brother were hockey fans, and they were big hockey fans, and they still are. And my brother used to live at the house, and my father used to come over a lot. So we would watch a lot of hockey. So he says, "Having your father diagnosed with cancer must be pretty traumatic." Yeah, I agree with you. I don't think I've fully grasped that he's sick. I mean, I understand that he's sick. I understand that he has cancer. I don't think it's fully sunk in. I don't know why. I don't really think I grasp the magnitude of what he's going through. I mean, I do grasp it to an extent. Um, I don't know. I don't know if I don't know how I don't get. I mean, I get that cancer is bad. I get that it's life threatening, but I still see him as my strong father from 10 years ago. I don't know why. I still see him as the strong poppy that he's been for the past, you know, I don't know, 67 years. I got to realize, he's being faced with his mortality and a cancer diagnosis. So, yeah, and try to see him in a more vulnerable and, I mean, he's going through a lot. I mean, I get that he's going through a lot. I just, so it's kind of hard for something like that to sink in for somebody so close to you. Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's true. I don't really. It's hard to grasp that he has cancer. I don't. Maybe I haven't. Maybe I haven't seen. Um, I don't know. I still see him as the strong man from 10 years ago. Somebody says it won't sink in until it's too late. That's usually how it works. Sadly, I'll try to recognize and appreciate him while he's here right now. I'll try to change my ways and stop protesting for the truth and so on. And I'll try to appreciate and love and, make the most of the time, because I don't think he says hopefully the cyberknife and the medications can get this into remission and he could beat the cancer. But, obviously he's not out of the woods yet, So, I think appreciate my father because, if he were to, God forbid, pass away, I would be very heartbroken. I would probably be, I definitely not heart, probably be heart, definitely, I'd definitely be heartbroken and devastated, and you know, it would be horrible, you know. I actually, I mean, yeah, I don't know why I'm feeling like he's going to be around for 10, 20, 30 more years. He's getting older, I just feel like he's going to be around. And, it's like somebody says, sometimes it's not until it's too late till you realize, oh, he's not going to be around for 10, 20, 30, 40 more years. He's getting older, and so is my mother and stepfather and everybody. I'm still thinking of him as the guy from 10 years ago, and he's going to be around for years to come. I'm just that's how I'm thinking of him, and it's just that's not the case. So he says you don't know what you got till it's gone. He's still alive. He's still kicking. He's still doing a good doing good. So I think he's got cancer, not doing good, but like just have fun with him, enjoy him. Don't fight with him. Enjoy my time with him, appreciate him. Do a 180. So he says, I miss Tara Social and the cover songs. Yeah, I don't know where she's been. Hopefully she comes back soon. All right, guys, I think I'm going to get going to bed. I appreciate. Somebody says, you guys should go to an Islander game next season. Yeah, that's a great idea. Maybe we will. I know Dave was constantly suggesting going to roller derby, but I don't think that's my father's cup of tea, to be honest with you. But I appreciate the sentiment and the bonding experience with my father. Maybe I could also go to a restaurant with him. I wanted to get, some Indian food and, you know. La, 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 la. Yeah. I think it's time for me to go to bed. It's getting to that point. It's 9:30. Yeah, at the very least, maybe I could get Indian food with my father this weekend. Maybe I'll ask him if he wants to go to the Indian buffet on Saturday or Sunday. We could get a nice Indian buffet. That might be nice. There's this hell yeah, hell yeah. It really rock and rolls. My friend Mark. Well, I had Indian once or twice prior, but my friend Mark really got me into Indian food. She introduced me to it, and we went a lot of times. Now I'm addicted to it. I'm like, I just want to keep going. I don't know. I'm like a creature of habit. I find a restaurant I like, and I want to go over and over and over and over and over again to the same restaurant. Sometimes they say you don't know what you have till it's gone. Not to say, but appreciate. Sometimes, I guess what I'm trying to say is you don't realize you're in the good old days until they're gone. Appreciate the good old days because now is the good old days. And think of going to the Indian restaurants with Mark. Think of my father. Think of all that I'm doing today. With the friends that I'm meeting. Because in the blink of an eye, that could all change. And the good old days can become the past. My mother's alive, my father's alive, my stepfather's alive. I have a friend in Mark. I have other friends too. We're going to restaurants. We're doing a lot of things. And I'm doing some cool artwork. Hopefully it gets better too. Hopefully I go to mental health recovery groups, meet even more friends, and get some financial independence. But there's a lot of good stuff going on too that I'll miss, when times change, Right now is the good old days. All right, guys. On that note, I think I'm going to get ready for a beddy bed. Peace out. Talk to you later.